Cesar Millan, once a global icon in dog training, has just experienced a shocking turning point after his trial. Once known for his ability to control everything in the courtroom, that image suddenly collapsed. The moment the verdict was announced, he lost the composure that had been associated with his name for many years. What happened next stunned the audience. Tense gestures, spontaneous actions, and urgent intervention from security forces turned that moment into a media sensation. Over nearly 2 decades, Cesar Millan has built a global empire based on training methods that emphasize leadership and discipline. His television shows are broadcast in more than 80 countries. His books have sold millions of copies, and his name is synonymous with the calm and steady leader of dogs. However, with the development of behavioral science and awareness of animal welfare, more and more experts have expressed concerns. Methods that were once considered effective are now being criticized, arguing that they can create fear, insecurity, or even harm animals. This lawsuit is not a sudden event, but the result of many years of endless debate. Things escalated after a video from the training program went viral, recording the sensitive moment when an animal was injured during training. The scene caused a public uproar, opening a wave of questions about the ethics of Millan's approach. This was followed by a series of testimonies from former collaborators describing in detail situations that caused harm to pets during training. Given the evidence presented in court, the verdict was clearly deterrent. Cesar Millan was permanently banned from practicing in the animal-related field, and the training center he founded was forced to close. In addition, he was required to pay significant compensation to animal protection organizations and participate in intensive behavioral training courses to update new standards in this field. In particular, the judgment required him to publicly acknowledge that many of the techniques he used were no longer suitable for modern scientific standards. The tense developments in the trial and Millan's outburst not only shocked the media but also sparked much debate in the pet-loving community. The image of him leaving the court surrounded by security quickly spread across social media platforms, becoming a symbol of the fall of a legend in the animal training industry. Outside the court, the atmosphere was also clearly divided into 2 extremes. On one side was a strong wave of protest expressed through banners demanding an end to training methods considered harsh. On the other side were the silent faces of longtime supporters, many of whom could not hide their emotions as they recalled what he had done for abandoned or troubled dogs. The painting clearly reflected the division in the perception of a figure once honored as a symbol of hope and change in the relationship between humans and pets. Cesar Millan's life has been a dramatic journey. Starting in the poor countryside of Culiacan, Mexico. With only $100 in his pocket and a strong desire, he crossed the border to the United States at the age of 21, carrying with him the dream of becoming the best dog trainer in the world. The early years of struggle in Los Angeles, from car washing to pet care, did not deter him. It was his resilience and talent that helped him gradually build a name for himself, becoming a global icon in the field of animal training. With a TV show covering more than 80 countries and best-selling books, he is not only admired, but also considered an inspirational pioneer. However, the path to that brilliant success is also where the cracks that cannot be healed begin. For Cesar Millan, dogs are not simply a means to build fame, but also a reason to live, a salvation in a turbulent life. But over time, that deep connection became the starting point for cracks. In 2010, his personal life suffered a great shock when his wife of 16 years filed for divorce, leaving a void both mentally and financially. That same year, his closest pit bull, the core element of his training philosophy, died of a serious illness. The 2 consecutive losses pushed him into a serious crisis, which at times left him in a state of deep despair. Outside the spotlight, the image of a man who always remained calm, confident, and in complete control of the situation gradually became fragile. According to those who have collaborated with him, he tends to attach himself to the title of dog whisperer, a role that requires absolute perfection. Maintaining a professional image is not only a job responsibility, but also the last support during a period of personal turmoil. Though he later resumed his career, those close to him say the deep wounds never really healed. He became sensitive to criticism, especially when it came to arguments that denied the effectiveness of his steadfastly pursued training methods. The pent-up tension seemed to come to a head when an episode of his show became the center of controversy. A video of a dog attacking another animal during a training session sparked a backlash on social media and sparked a full-scale investigation by animal welfare organizations. Although no charges were filed in the specific incident, the public outcry prompted more accusations. One family said their French bulldog showed signs of anxiety after a stressful training session at the center. Another said their dog was injured during behavioral rehabilitation at Millan's facility. Testimonies from former employees further complicated the picture. Some say the dramatic element took precedence over the safety of the animals. At times, training scenarios were designed to be dramatic on television, then edited to soften the impact. Through professional analysis, many animal behavior experts have pointed out that fear and anxiety responses were misinterpreted as signs of submission, raising serious questions about the integrity of the training method being communicated to the public. The prosecution presented a well-founded argument, comparing Millan's techniques to contemporary scientific research. Voices from academia and animal rights organizations have spoken out against the suppression-based approach, calling it outdated and inhumane. It was this consensus that became the catalyst that helped shape the end of a career once considered an irreplaceable icon in the world of pet training. Advances in canine cognition and emotion have dramatically changed the way humans approach training. The old view that dogs are always trying to dominate humans and need to be controlled by their hierarchical position in the pack is becoming obsolete. Leading animal behaviorists claim that training methods based on dominance theory are not only ineffective but can also leave dogs in a state of chronic fear and stress, which in turn exacerbates the behaviors humans are trying to modify. Throughout the legal proceedings, Cesar Millan maintained the image of a man who believed in his ideals, always claiming that the accusations were misunderstandings and prejudices from people who did not truly understand what he did. However, as a series of evidence emerged, from videos of controversial training sessions to testimony from owners and independent experts, the once solid image he once maintained began to falter. In particular, the footage clearly showing the panic of the dogs during the training process has confused the public, leading to doubts about the true effectiveness and humaneness of the methods he used. After the unfavorable developments in the trial, Millan suddenly withdrew from all media activities. Interview requests were all denied, and many unconfirmed reports said that he temporarily returned to Mexico to avoid public attention. Meanwhile, his sons, who were expected to inherit their father's legacy, only issued a brief message asking for respect for the family's privacy during this difficult period. The impact of the incident spread far and wide, not only affecting him personally, but also creating a strong wave of change throughout the dog training industry. Many centers that had promoted Millan's methods quickly adjusted their materials and teaching orientations, completely eliminating the concepts of dominance or pack leadership. Trainers, including those who once followed Millan's style, are now focusing on techniques that rely on positive reinforcement and trust between humans and their pets rather than creating stressful or coercive environments. Professional organizations are also using this moment to promote public awareness. An updated statement from the American Veterinary Medical Association has made clear its support for humane training techniques while warning about the potential harm of methods that put pressure on animals. Demand for new knowledge and access to dog behavior has skyrocketed. Not only professional trainers, but also pet owners are rushing to sign up for courses to learn about modern science-based care and training for animal welfare organizations. This is a great opportunity to expand their influence and educate the community. Some have suggested that the shocking event has brought the values of humane training, which had been difficult to spread to the public, to wider attention and acceptance. While this change came from a controversial incident, the most important thing is that the dogs, the subjects at the center of the debate, will ultimately benefit the most. Even the television industry has taken a decisive step. Producers have quickly shifted to new training programs that focus entirely on positive techniques and cleverly contrast the differences between the new approach and what was popular on television before. Streaming platforms have simultaneously removed Millan-related content, replacing them with updated documentaries on canine cognitive science as well as modern training methods that are considered both effective and respectful of the animal's emotions. As for the dogs that have been involved in the controversial training sessions, many have now been taken to behavioral rehabilitation specialists. Through gentle scientific and patient methods, the dogs have gradually regained psychological stability and the ability to interact positively with people. Videos of their recovery journeys have gone viral on social media, a clear demonstration of the power of empathy and understanding in building healthy relationships between humans and pets. No coercion required, just love and the right knowledge. Cesar Millan's training style, which once made a global splash, was hailed as a cultural phenomenon, attracting millions of followers with his charisma and ability to control the most difficult dogs. However, after being embroiled in a controversial lawsuit, criticism began to spread, especially from animal behavior experts. Many who once admired him now question the appropriateness and safety of his techniques. While some still believe that Millan could have adapted and continued to inspire by incorporating positive training elements into his methods, many see him as a symbol of a bygone era of training where control was prioritized over understanding. Many experts who have followed Millan's training centers say he has a huge advantage if he accepts change. His connection to audiences, his lively presentation skills, and his broad reach were all factors that could have been transferred to popularizing humane science-based methods, but instead of adapting his approach to accommodate the progressive trend, Millan continued to defend his controversial techniques despite mounting criticism. These choices were regrettable to many, as he could have been a bridge between a mass audience and modern training methods had he been willing to change. The legal action not only ended a glorious period in his personal career, but also opened up a larger debate about how humans form relationships with their pets. Online, discussions around cooperative training became more popular. Dog owners began to seek information about nonviolent methods, spurring the development of in-depth training materials and friendly training classes. The demand for learning has skyrocketed, leading to a boom in sales of books on positive reinforcement and a surge in people signing up for behavior courses. More significantly, the incident has sparked a re-examination of outdated ideas that were once considered the foundation of training, especially the concept of pack leadership. The idea that humans need to assert dominance to get dogs to obey is being replaced by approaches based on trust and mutual respect. Animal cognition researchers say this shift is not just a technical change but also a step forward in social cognition, from control to cooperation, from coercion to understanding. For Millan, once known as the dog whisperer, the current period is challenging. What once made him famous is now the center of controversy. As the scientific and veterinary community continue to point out the dangers of the dominant approach, Millan's future becomes increasingly uncertain. Whether he can adapt and be part of the change or continue to hold firm to his old views remains to be seen, but it is clear that the shift in the industry has taken place. No longer a trend, but a well-founded movement, Millan's story is now not simply a story of a celebrity's rise and fall, but also a symbol of a turning point in dog training. As more and more people turn away from coercive methods, the past associated with power and control is gradually fading into the shadows. And perhaps it is in forcing the community to re-examine what was once celebrated that Millan's most profound impact has been an influence he did not necessarily intend, but one that has been invaluable in changing the way people treat their most loyal animals. What do you think about what happened to Cesar Millan? Was his reaction in court the result of overwhelming pressure, or did it reflect deeply held beliefs that are difficult to shake? And more importantly, has this case made you reconsider how we train and understand our four-legged friends? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to discover more insightful and humane perspectives on the animal.